Hey everybody, what's up? We're back for another double hitter today on Special Edition Saturday. And we are going to be making what's that? Oh, that looks cool. My kids are trying on their Easter outfits today. And today I'm going back in home, in the house, Short Fuse Media Group. We're bringing it back in here. I have William Satterwhite joining us today. I'll be bringing him up in a few seconds. Let me just explain to you what Chat and Draw is. Chat and Draw, hold on, is my beautiful daughter. How are you? That looks really nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I will probably have a couple more come down here and show me their outfits. But Chat and Draw is where I sit with a creator and I talk and dish with their comic book character. I'll draw it while they're talking about the character. They'll ask me questions. I'll ask them questions. We'll have a nice go back and forth. It's a great conversation, an opportunity for them to promote themselves and their character. This time we have a special episode with one of our own from the Short Fuse house, and I'm going to get ready to bring him up right after we do our traditional.
Here comes a new challenger!
William Satterwhite, everybody. How you doing, William?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing really good, sir. Good to have you on the episode. Glad we finally got you in there. We had a ton of people sign up for this.
It seems to be pretty popular.
It is, and I'm very, very happy with it. Happy with Sean Mack helped push this and help get it organized and stuff too. So it's doing its thing. All right.
You've already got some preliminary sketching going on.
Yes. Before I started to dig into stealth, I've been looking forward to doing stealth. He is a runner, but William, why don't you go ahead and give us your elevator pitch for the stealth comic book, which is published through Short Fuse Media Group?
I always have difficulty with an elevator pitch. I'm not sure if I ever get it right, but basically, Stealth is a story of a young man with tremendous powers trying to protect his city the best he can. A lot of times he messes up. He makes a lot of mistakes, screws up a lot, but he does the best that he can. And basically, he's a young man who he's been blessed with great powers in his world, his universe, so to speak. About 10% of the people have powers within them that get untapped through some means, and his basic power is super speed. Mm-hmm. He's also got some other abilities that, as the name implies, he's kind of like a human version of a stealth bomber.
Okay.
And he's starts out as a young teen hero, but with the Short Fuse book, what we've actually done is we fast forwarded a bit into the future to where instead of a teen, he's about 23, 24, out of college, getting out into the real world, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And he's dealing with the Short Fuse book. The main focus that we're dealing with here is sometimes with superheroes, they have to deal with real world issues where sometimes superpowers aren't necessarily the answer to those issues.
Right.
So we're trying to take a look at how a superhero would have to deal with those issues when, like I said, you can't punch your way out of government corruption, or you can't punch your way out of police corruption and things like that.
Yeah. So I think that's something I really appreciated about your book, the fact that your IP was split into two different properties. Well, not two properties, but fit in two different lanes. I know the book, the one book that you started off with was more kid-friendly, more cartoon-esque. And then when you brought over the Short Fuse, like you said, you grew them up some, put them in the future or whatnot. And now we got more of a grittier, serious version. And I remember still getting that issue. He's dealing with a lot of neighborhood issues, dealing with issues with the culture and police and things like that. Was that an easy decision to come to?
It wasn't. I have to say it wasn't my decision initially, but it was something that when the idea was broached to me, I thought it made a lot of sense, and I thought it was a great idea to go that route. So it was a very easy decision to gravitate to.
Okay. And I would imagine that you've been able to reach 2 times the audience with that.
Definitely, because like I said, that is one thing that I did want to do with this is I have the webcomic, the original web. It started out as a webcomic, and the original webcomic is still online at stealthcomic.com. I wanted to have it to where that no matter what happened, no matter whatever happened with the Short Fuse book, I could still continue on to some level with the other things that I had been working on, and also be able to use both aspects of the character, both versions of the character, so to speak, to promote each other. Give people, if they like the younger version of the character, show them, hey, this is what we're leading up to, maybe check this out. If they like the older version of the character, show them, hey, this is where he comes from, check this out. So it was it's kind of the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And William, how long have you been into the comics? So first of all, how long have you been a fan? How long have you been a fan?
I've been a fan going back to since I was about 13 years old. I was in a little convenience store back when they used to sell comic books in convenience stores. I think you're probably about that age where you remember those days too.
Yeah.
And I saw a Jim Lee X-Men cover. I still remember the comic book. It was the issue where they deal with the Harriers. Okay. And this Jim Lee cover just jumped out at me. It wasn't actually Jim Lee that drew the comic book, but that cover just jumped out at me. I got my dad to buy the comic book for me, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments going on here. Sean Mack's watching. Shout out Sean Mack. Tyrell White is watching. Paige Alfred's watching.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Yeah, I knew. Kind of had an idea of what I definitely knew kind of area I wanted to go with the man Stealth.
I see he's got a lot of really kinetic look to him that you're going with.
I really want to push that sense of speed with him. So hopefully I can pull this off today.
I think you're doing. I think you're on. I think you're on to it. So I see you're using Procreate. Is that your favorite program to use?
Man, it's my favorite program of the damn century. Between this and Clip Studio, but Procreate has definitely been the one that I've gravitated to more. I absolutely love it, man. I love it. I can't say enough about it. Been using this. I did one really big project in here for a potential wall banner for my characters, and I did it. I probably worked on it in this for like 18 hours. Then I took it over to Clip Studio where I can get access to more layers for another 5 or 6 hours, and then brought it back over into Procreate for a few more before finishing it off.
Yeah.
But
I know that's the one thing with Procreate is that you're limited in the layers by you can't really get too outrageous with it.
Well, I think that's I have to ask that because I didn't, but I think it's only because I don't have a iPad Pro.
Yeah, it's based on your processing speed and your how the size of your, like the I think they have the 128, 64 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte. So the large, like if you have the most souped up iPad Pro, it's basically just like a computer. So you wouldn't have any problems at all with that.
Yeah. So eventually I want to move on up to an iPad Pro. I mean, but this is holding me down. So, there's always corners, there's always a way to get around things, but I absolutely love it. And it's part of the reason why I think people like this show so much is because I can do this on here. So let's see. All right. So what kind of villains outside? I know we've been talking about some community villains and things like that. So why don't you give us one of your best, like, I guess, inner city villain or inner city issue that afflicts Stealth, and one of your favorite super villains that are going to mess with Stealth.
Well, the inner city villain, if to use that phrase of it, is basically he's the main villain of the story, and I'm not even really sure if you could call him a villain.
Mhm.
He's kind of like a kingpin type behind the scenes figure. Is Mario Malone, who's
Okay.
a big businessman. He starts out running a record label in the webcomic, and then like I said, through the time jump, his businesses diversify, so to speak. But behind the scenes, he's always basically a gangster. He's
Okay.
kind of the king of the Terminus City underworld, and through that aspect of it, he's always kind of clandestine. Not nobody really knows that he's masterminding everything behind the scenes, but he is. So he always has this persona of being a good guy to the general public.
Oh, one of
Uh,
those.
yeah. And as far as superpowered villains, it ties back into Mario Malone. Is one of his best friends from when they were kids, who ended up becoming a rapper on his on his rap label, and really started his rise, so to speak. Was a man named Darren Shine, and he was involved in the streets and gets involved in a drug deal, and Mario Malone actually sets him up to take the fall for something that he should have taken the fall for. So he has a little bit of an animosity over that. And through the course of him being in jail, he becomes part of this government experiment
Hmm.
that, like I said, in the world of stealth. So a lot of these characters, like Stealth, when he becomes Stealth, he thinks that it's just because he gets struck by lightning, and that's what I see the comment up there. That's what causes him to become super powered. But like I
Mhm.
said, it's actually innately within him. And so this government agency actually knows this about certain people in the world. And so they experiment on these people to activate their powers. And through the course of this, Sean becomes a Sunstorm, who he has heat powers.
Okay.
And he ends up becoming part of a big gang war, so to speak, where he's trying to take down Mario Malone because it's one of Mario Malone's rivals. So his that aspect of it, but there's also the aspect of the fact that he just dislikes Mario Malone.
Right.
And then another character who's involved with that storyline was a character named Master Zero, who is ice powers.
Hmm.
And the thing about that character is that he's actually the father of one of the primary supporting characters within the comic book. Alan, as a teenager, he has a crush on this girl named Ashley Bell,
Hmm.
and she's basically the Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Lois Lane of Stealth World. And this character, the Master Zero, he's her father, her estranged father, because through the course of his life, he's had some ups and downs, and she has developed something of a dislike for her father because of those ups and downs. And
Hmm.
so they become in that kind of plays into that storyline as well. And then the very first supervillain that I had stealth fight was a character called Shockwave, who has electric powers. Uh, that's when Stealth kind of finds out some of his other powers, because as he's being shocked by this character, and this character is literally to kill him, Stealth finds out that, oh, as he's weakening him, he's recovering and becoming stronger. And so that's how Stealth finds out that he has something of a low level healing factor.
Okay.
And then one other villain that he's dealt with is Dr. Octagon, who is a basically your run of the mill mad scientist who finds this power source, this unlimited power source, and he uses that to develop a super suit that gives him a number of fantastic abilities and superpowers. He basically 8 main powers, and he tries to sell these powers, tries to sell this product to different people, and gets laughed out of their face. And he tries to sell it to the government, and they laugh at him because he's, like I said, he's a lot like a mad scientist. And eventually Mario Malone, unbeknownst to most people, gives him the funding to put together this super suit. And in that process, Mario Malone uses him to fight on his side. And like I said, this big gang war that kind of kicks off towards the end of the webcomic.
All right. So it sounds like you got a lot going on in this book. A lot more.
Yeah, like I said, the webcomic went on. I have the webcomic has been going on for about off and on. Goes back to about 2001 actually.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it was off and on. But we covered we got a good little bit of material there. Stealthcomic.com.
Okay. Thank you, Tyrell. I appreciate it. Tyrell's liking how the art is coming together for this.
Yeah, it really looks fantastic.
Thank you. Now, all right, sir. So we talked about your villains in there. We've done the elevator pitch for it. Now, can you tell us was your character just a straight creation? Was it inspired by anybody or any other specific characters that you love and enjoy? Is it an homage character? What was that creation process like for you?
All of that.
All of it.
All of it. Basically, like I said, I've been a big fan of comics going back to when I was like I said, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. And I've always drawn my own comics, kind of doing my own little characters, my own little comics without really putting real much thought into it. Mm-hmm. But after I graduated from high school, I said, you know what, I really want to actually do a comic. And I kind of thought at the thing, I was about 18, 19, and I started thinking, okay, what kind of character would I want to have? So I thought about all the characters that I loved at the time and still do. And most of the characters my favorite character is Daredevil. Right. And my second favorite character is Spider-Man. Third favorite character is Batman. So I kind of thought about the things that make those characters my favorite characters and what I like about them. The fact that they're down to earth, but they still have, well, in the case of Daredevil and Spider-Man, they're still super, but they're not super. Right. And I thought about, the kind of Daredevil, he's kind of like a dark side to him, but he's, there's still a little bit of a light side to it as well. So I wanted to kind of I melded those kind of characters together, and I thought about what kind of power would be really cool. And I've always liked speed, but I never liked the idea of like the Flash running around in this big red, bright red and yellow suit. Uh-huh. I always liked the idea of like stealth. Like you can't. There's a hockey player called Theo Fleury, and he was a little guy, but he was super quick. And they always used to say, you can't hit what you can't catch. Because, hockey's a very physical sport. Mm-hmm. And they would always say, you can't hit what you can't catch. So that was kind of like the mindset that I had when I was developing stealth, was to say, let's have a character, a speedster, who instead of being the bright visual character is more or less in the shadows, in the darkness. And so that's why I came up with the stealth idea of this guy who's got a all black suit, but with the one little visual reminder. And that's basically it. And so like I said, it was just kind of melding together some different things about what I love about characters and using that to create my own.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. That's always good. I'm a big fan, and like you said, point out here, big fan of comics and stuff. This is why we do this stuff. We read comics, we watch movies and stuff. So I love to try to put in, homage characters, the characters I really dig on, and things like that. For me, Hotshot's inspiration characters are Naruto, Invincible from Image Comics, Spider-Man, and Wolverine.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so 'cause those that's what I really got into. More so Naruto and Invincible. I love the storytelling aspect
Hmm.
of both those books. Uh, More of the character aspect of Wolverine and Spider-Man um, for Hotshot. Hotshot gets his butt kicked a lot. So uh,
I should mention because a lot of it, it's very funny to me that people, people always say like Black Panther inspired this, or did somebody like that inspired. I always have to say no. But one character who I had already created Stealth and was working on the comic book at the time when it came out, but during the development of the comic book, for the further development of it, a character who really, because it was basically what I wanted to do with it,
mm,
was one, Batman Beyond, and two, Ultimate Spider-Man.
okay,
Like I said, Spider-Man himself was an inspiration, but the ideal of what I wanted to do with Stealth was kind of like the old ideal of what Ultimate Spider-Man was supposed to have been from the very beginning, which is like if Stan Lee or Jack Kirby, if Stan Lee was creating Spider-Man right now, what would he do? And so that was
okay.
kind of like that was like I said, it came about during the development, but it really kind of it still had a little bit of an influence over what I did with the comic.
All right.
Tyrell, I see you got a comment on here. I'm not sure. Another character emerged from the series that you're working on now. Could you give a little insight on that? Or maybe I need to. Following along on the chat as we're going.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep up with it myself. As what's been happening lately, I get kind of lost in the art while you guys are talking, and I can for sure say I'm really digging the pose here.
Oh, it is cool. Oh, he's asking about another character that I'm working on independently from Stealth right now. Uh, Columbia, that's a new character that I'm working on.
Hmm.
She's actually not she's actually not directly connected to Stealth, but there are some ties to the larger Stealth. There's a character that's in the Stealth webcomic
Hmm.
that hasn't appeared in the Short Fuse comic, but there's
Okay.
a little connection there between those two characters and those two worlds. So yes, Columbia is a part of the Stealth universe, but she's not hasn't been defined yet as being a direct part of the universe, if that makes any sense. Does that answer your question, Tyrell?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay
Yeah.
in our responses and them seeing us. So
But yeah, that is a good pickup. That he was able to connect those dots between what I put out so far.
oh, Tyrell's a fan.
Yeah.
Tyrell Tyrell is a consumer of indie comics.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure. Oh, how would you define Stealth's romantic relationships? Without giving away because like I said, there has been a time jump, and Ashley is still, anyone who's read the Stealth Short Fuse book, they see that she's involved in the comic book there. Uh, And if you remember from the webcomic, there's still, it's kind of like a crust type of thing. In the interim, they do end up together, but they end up falling apart as people do.
Yeah.
But there is still always that connection between them, and we will have to see if that connection doesn't come back. But like I said, I always define Ashley as being the Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Lois Lane of Stealth's world. And there is another character in the webcomic that's the character who's connected to Columbia, who is also a potential love interest in the webcomic. She's always going to, I guess this is spoiling things. I guess I shouldn't spoil things, but she's always going to be a secondary because Ashley will, for the most part, will always be the main deal. I'm just old fashioned like that.
I don't know if it's really old fashioned. And just you got the way you want to tell the story.
Yeah, like I said, I like things like there are certain things that I just like about whether you want to call them tropes or whatever. I like the idea of secret. You one thing, as far as I'm concerned, that you'll never see in Stealth is the kind of like the Scooby Gang scenario, where just about every superhero or big, every like Buffy, Arrow, The Flash, all of these shows, they always end up having like these 5 or 6 different characters who all know everything about the superhero. And I, it's cool. And I'm not saying that that's not cool. It doesn't create good entertainment. I just don't like it. So, as far as I'm concerned, in the world of Stealth, there will never be more than 1 or 2 people that ever know his identity, if that many. And there will never be like a big stealth gang or whatever you want to call it. So, like I said, the secret identity thing, that's key to me. And things like like I said, the love interest. I think that there's ways to make that work to where it's it helps with the storytelling, and it helps because it's that it kind of defines the character, and it's something that if you ever say Superman, oh, Superman and Lois Lane, Spider-Man and Mary Jane, before they killed him, Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy. There is things that tie these characters together. So, like I said, call it old fashioned, call it tropes or whatever, but there's just certain things that I'm always going to hold on to.
Oh, and I understand that, man. Perfectly get with it. There's just some things that you want to do just because you love to see it or whatnot, and that's kind of like that's the benefit of being, the creator of it or whatnot. You can do your thing.
Oh, he's asking about yeah, Alan does have Alan White. He's the main character in Stealth. He is Stealth. He does have a lot of female friends, and he is a gentleman. A lot of the friends that he has are based on just him being a good guy and people gravitating to a good guy.
Yeah, having me a little bit of fun here, man.
Cool.
So, what would Stealth's favorite food be and favorite movie?
His favorite food is pizza, and his favorite movie. Wow, that would be a tough one because I think Stealth, if you asked him, because Stealth is a lot like me, and if you ask me, I would say what genre, because you know, when you want to say a favorite movie, I love A River Runs Through It, but I also love The Godfather, and I also love Star Wars. So,
Mhm.
but each one of those movies, I can't say that I would just watch it at any given time because I have to be in a certain mood. So I guess Stealth would probably say what I Stealth. He's very analytical, like me. He'd probably break it down and kind of wonder, okay, what are you?
Huh.
How would you? What genre? He would probably want to know what genre because he'd probably have about 4 or 5 different movies.
Mhm.
But if I had to pick, if this was like one of those presidential polls and you told me that I have to pick one, I would say Stealth would probably say
Mhm.
Star Wars.
He's going with Star Wars.
He's gonna go with Star Wars.
Oh man. Dang. I haven't drawn this. So
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
trying to
Tyrell.
do.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So I'm trying to do a mix of both versions of the character. Um, Bit of that cartoon twist with the comic book one,
Mhm.
and I hope I'm pulling it off, man. I'm liking it, but you're you're the creator.
I think you're doing a great job so far. It's really good, really coming out great. Tyrell is asking about his powers. Yes, one thing that we really wanted to emphasize in the short fuse book is that there is a kind of a limit to what stealth can do. One thing that he finds out in the interim period between the hey Robert, how you doing? Robert Jeffrey, creator extraordinaire, just dropped in.
What up,
Uh,
Robert Jeffrey? How you doing, man?
one thing that because Sean actually brought it up and I thought it was a great idea.
Go ahead. Oh, did you freeze up? I think we froze up. All right. I think you froze up for a moment, so we're still going here. Um, I will keep going as I am having a good time with this. Yeah, I think we lost William. Hoping he'll just jump right back in when he gets a chance. But man, am I having fun drawing William's character here? I think I want to start another layer for these speed streaks. I want to trying to keep them all going the same way here. Thank you, Tyrell. I appreciate that, man. I'm having a lot of fun with this guy right here. And this is like, I think this is the second time I've drawn stealth. I definitely wanted to do a little bit more on him. I want to really push his powers for this skit. All right, so William, if you're watching, looks like he got ejected for a second. William, just hit that link and join back in when you can. I thought something pop up. So I've got a speedster on FS Comics. His name is Nimbus. I think I'm gonna do a piece with Nimbus and Stealth running together. Thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate that. I didn't draw for that pinup. Who do we have in that pinup? I'm gonna have to go back and look. Sean Max saying it's the first time I've drawn him, and Sean has a great track record of being right. So, Yeah, I'm probably gonna. It's fun drawing things in speed. Oh, William's back.
Oh, hey, yeah, sorry about that. My internet connection just blinked out for a second.
Oh, no problem, man. It happens.
Uh,
Robert asked me how are my projects coming along. They're going good. I'm knee deep on Hot Shot number 10. Working on the layouts for 11. The script is written for 10, 11, 12, and 13. Script done on Vigilance number 4. Emerald Quest Emerald Quest number 2 is done. Emerald Quest number 3 is getting colored. Zero Event number 1 is being colored. The Wolf is done. Yeah, we got a lot. So yeah, we're on it. Go ahead, William.
uh, yeah, I think where I left off was talking about the Tyrell had been asking about the powers. And
Mm,
yeah, we wanted to show that his powers are kind of a little bit limited. Kind of similar. I don't know if anybody remembers back when, because it's been years since I read Spawn. Back when
yeah,
Spawn first started, he had kind of like a power battery.
he did. He did.
And like I say, I don't know if that's still a thing with Spawn, but the way that the way that I've kind of redefined his powers is that he's actually a battery. He has a battery within him, or he
Mm,
is a battery, so to speak. And he knows that there's a limit to what he can do before he'll run out of energy. So that's why he kind of slows down on just using pure superpowers, and why he has started to use more other equipment.
all right. That's cool. That's cool. So is that going to be a long lasting thing?
Yeah, that defines the character now. So like I said, I have to go back, and like I said, I have a plan for like a book. I don't know if anybody remembers back Valiant, which was one of my favorite comic book companies back in the day. They're still going, but they went after some things went on. But Valiant, they did the Rise Zero, which kind of like defined everything that happened in their universe from the present day into like 2,000 years into the future.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something like that eventually on a obviously a much smaller scale that shows exactly everything that's gone on, and how everything changed from the last point that we see the webcomic to where the short fuse book picks up.
Okay.
So that's something that I want to put together sometime in the future.
Awesome. 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 And William's been doing a great job of checking those comments to get to talk to people. LaShawn pop in. What's
And
up, LaShawn? Thank you very
yeah,
much.
and
I'm fine over here.
Tyrell is talking about some of the equipment. Yeah, one thing like I said, Spider-Man was always one of my favorite characters, and one thing that I always loved about Spider-Man was that, he wasn't like on a Batman level, but obviously he created his web shooters, and he always had like just little gadgets because he was a smart kid who could create stuff. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with Stealth, was just to have him have like little, okay, he knows that he can run fast, he knows that he can do stuff, but how can he augment those powers through other means? And that's why I came up with the little glider wings and just little stuff like that.
Okay.
And if you notice in the short fuse book, there's actually, like I said, there's actually a progression of that, because he has built into his helmet, he has a little radio thing that he uses to eavesdrop on the racist police cops in the bar,
Mm-hmm.
and just little things like that. He still has his gadgets, and he's still on that technical tip as well. Richard Ruffin has dropped in. Dope character. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate that. Uh, I thought I saw some other comment.
Somebody
Robert is asking what's
Yeah.
next for Stealth. Basically, we're still working on the conclusion of the story that started in Stealth #1. We're I'm gonna wait for Sean Mack to. I'm not sure what I should be able to, what I should say and what I shouldn't say about the
Just,
plans for that. But just rest assured that it will. We are it, that will continue, and then obviously the Stealth will continue as a series after that. Also, still working on which Robert knows a little bit about the graphic novel, going over his origin. Still trying to put that together, and just trying to put more content out there in the future.
I was gonna step in there and hit publisher executive order. Just know the next issue of Stealth #2 is about to be complete fire.
Yeah.
We're going to leave it at that. Make sure you're up to date. Go to the website, shortfusemediagroup.com. Make sure you got your #1 issue because the next one's about to clap.
Yeah, like I said, trust me. The fans will be excited when they see what's to come. Paige Alfred is in. He's asking, can I use Stealth in a crossover? I tell this to anybody, and I guess this is like if anybody who's watching, any other creators, this is like my blanket statement on that. I am always open to anybody that wants to do anything with Stealth. Just, let me know what you want to do, and I'm good. I'm always open for anything. Robert is asking about Columbia as well. Yes, Robert, you typed it correctly. Columbia is still in the works. I'm still working on that. I have to be honest. The kind of the slowdown of the comic, the no conventions and things like that. That's kind of dragged me down a little bit. So yeah. I haven't. But Columbia development is still ongoing on that. Still hope to have. I guess I'll just have to sell it online. I can't sell it at any shows or anything. Still hope to sell that, have that ready by this summer. Richard Ruffin says, I'm ordering now racist rock cops. Hopefully you like to see the racist cops being dealt with, and you're not actually a fan of the racist cops. But yeah, that is a big storyline in Stealth #1 is that some racist cops they get dealt with.
Now, Richard, I believe he wants to see him get dealt with.
That's kind of what I assumed, but I just wanted to make sure.
And we had him on the show last week.
Robert is asking, what cons are y'all missing the most? Well, it is on this one. I can say they have rescheduled it. The Atlanta Science Fiction and Fantasy Expo. That is always one of my favorite shows, and that one it had to be postponed, but it is on the schedule for October, I believe, or August. And that one was one that I really hated missing. Another one is MomoCon. This was actually going to be my first year at MomoCon. I was really looking forward to it, and that kind of bummed me out when that one it bummed me out when it got postponed initially, and then when it got canceled altogether just this past week. I saw something about San Diego Comic-Con that has me leery about Atlanta Comic-Con, which is going to be occurring right around the same time. That I'm worried that one's not going to be going on. and Rangers Stop and Pop, which is a Power Rangers focused show that I went to last year. Had a really great time there. Just got the word this past week that one's going to be canceled for this year too. So it's been rough.
Yeah. I was getting ready for Gem City Comic Con this month. And that got canceled. I do Gem City every year. It's a good comic book convention. It's only about 45 minutes away from me too, and we stay there for the weekend.
Yes, that's the thing. It's a lot of great shows, and they're all just that's the one thing that I love about going out to shows is that you get the energy from fans, and there's always Joe DiMaggio had a famous quote when they asked him why did he always play so well every day when he's a great guy, he could take a day off or something like that, and he always said it's because somebody who's watching me this day, this is their first time ever watching me play baseball. And that's kind of like how I look at Comic Cons, is that no matter what, there's always somebody who's being introduced to you. I always love seeing new people, seeing familiar faces at cons. And at just about every con that I go to, I always see at least one familiar face. But it's also the idea that, hey, there's always new people, new fans, and new energy. And that kind of picks me up, and you kind of feed off of it. And so, yeah, it's kind of rough going without cons this year.
Yeah, I miss them. I was talking to Ramel the other day. He's like, man, how you doing? I know you live at comic book conventions, man.
Yeah, I know. Robert just mentioned that cons are where he that's the same thing for me. It's like especially with a show like the Atlanta Science Fiction Fantasy Expo, that one is always my lead-in show, and that's always where I always do good enough at that show that even though I do pretty good at all the other shows to come, if there is a show that ends up being a washout or something, I do well enough at my first show that it kind of sustains me through, a bad experience here or there. So it is tough.
Mm-hmm.
And online sales are tough because it's hard to pull that person in that you can't see when you're at a con. You can actually just reach out, and you can literally reach out and, well, can't do it now, but you can reach out and touch someone and say, hey, you see this is cool. Flip through the book with them, show them things, point out things to them, really sell it to them. Whereas online, you're just kind of at their mercy.
Yeah, and people are trying a lot of new stuff to try to reach and increase their online market and stuff like that. And it's very cool. But it's kind of like a live or let die situation. It's cool trying to figure out how that's going to work. What works, what does not work. I know I've done a few online Comic Cons with people, and by doing that, I've actually come across and met some people that I knew of but never really had a whole conversation with.
Right.
Which right now at this point, where it's a fact of we're tapping into each other's audiences and introducing ourselves. So I'm really hoping, excuse me, I'm really hoping that we come out of this thing rejuvenated, with bigger audiences. Here's something from Paige Alfred for you.
Yeah, I see. All other creators. Marvel often uses other characters when they promote new comics. Would you ever promote another indie character on your cover? There's actually, and I'm pretty sure that I can't get in trouble for doing this. There's actually, if you go to shortfuse.com, the Shortfuse website store, there's actually a special promotion that we did with Stealth that had other indie characters on specially made Stealth covers. I hope I'm explaining that arrangement correctly.
They're cameo covers.
Yes, cameo covers.
We do them a lot for our Kickstarters. they're kind of an exclusive thing to our Kickstarter where you can pay a certain fee, and whatever book that you order through our Kickstarter will put whatever character, including yourself, on the cover with our character. And I believe that if you go to our, no, you will go to, if you go to the store, you'll see some of those on there where you can check out some have been done. But yeah, that's something we definitely do.
Yeah, because like I said, the last time, I'm not sure if it's still there, but I'm pretty sure it is. The last time that I went to the stealth listing on the Short Fuse website, on the Short Fuse store website, the cameo covers were available there. So yeah, that's definitely it's both. Like I said, I'm confident to say I can speak for Short Fuse as a company and as a whole on this, and for myself. That is something that is totally no problem at all.
Yeah, because actually, that's one of the reasons why this show even exists. We've been doing and featuring other people's characters, no matter who publishes them, and promoting them. And we've been doing a lot of different promotions for other creators, for other publishers on our actual Facebook store. So we out here, man.
Oh yeah, and part of the and again, I hope that I'm not speaking too far out of turn, but some of if you've read Stealth #1, you saw that there was at least one. There was an appearance by another character there, and Stealth #2, the original plans for it had a good of other characters in it as well. So that's definitely something that's not shied away from.
Yeah, it's not Kickstarter exclusive anymore. It is a live function on our store. So you go to shortfusemediagroup.com and go order that today.
And I think and I know this is something that Sean has always talked about. That's one of the beauties of indie comics, is that as independent creators who are beholden to no one else but ourselves, we can do stuff like that. And
yeah,
and there's no problem at all. And it helps you, it helps me, it helps everybody. So I look at it as, why would you not do it? You know, like I said, I'm always open for anything that anybody wants to do. Just let me know.
Yeah, man. All it is, as my mom said, a closed mouth don't get fed.
That's exactly right.
Shoot, we sitting at home right now. This is when this is when things happen. Like I would have never, if we didn't have this going on, I would have never thought of this show.
Yeah. Mike, Paige actually has a question for you.
I am going to be posting a collage of all the characters. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it. So it's definitely something that we are looking into here.
Yeah, and Sean actually threw in a comment that online stores, you're well, as someone who's been dealing with the web, I used to work as a web designer. The online store can close if you don't pay your web fees, but that is always the ultimate common. I've always looked at the internet and online sales and web stores and things like that as being the great equalizer. Whereas, if you can't get out, you can't compete with a big company out, in the retail market, but online, if you have your comic book available for sale to the individual online, you're actually ahead of the game on somebody like Marvel or DC, because you still have to go to a comic book store to buy their comics. But you can get a print comic of Stealth #1 from shortfusemedia.com store, type in Stealth, and you'll be right there. That was a little bit of a shameless plug, by the way.
Oh, ain't nothing wrong with that, baby. We're not mad at that. We is not mad at that. Whew.
It is looking sick, Mike.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, William. I'm pretty pleased with it. Like I said, I'm having some fun with it and playing around with some stuff right now. Let's see here. Oh. All right, well, I got another set. Let's see what else I got here on my questions. When, William, or did I ask
Yes.
you, when did you fall in love with comic books?
Uh, you know what? I think it was love at first sight. Like I said, with that Jim Lee cover that I saw in that 7-Eleven one Sunday night way back in 1990, whatever. But if it wasn't that, it was I followed I kept I go back and pick up the X-Men whenever they would come out, you know. And then when they did the big they did the big extinction agenda, that big storyline where
Yeah.
it brought the New Mutants and X Factor and X-Men all together.
Hmm.
That was my very first big crossover. Up into because I just missed out on Inferno. So Extinction Agenda was my very first big comic book crossover. And at the time, I had fixated on the New Mutants with Rob Liefeld. Uh, Will Portacio was doing X Factor. Jim Lee was on X-Men regular at that point, and Mark Silvestri was on Wolverine. And then when they brought them all together, and like I said, I had never experienced anything like that. And even though I was already buying all of the books, this whole idea that, oh, these books all connect to each other now, and I have to buy. I didn't. If I was an adult at the point, I would have been probably upset at it. But at the time, as a kid, thinking, wow, now I can't miss this X-Men issue, or I can't miss this New Mutants issue. I have to buy all of them. And I think that's actually what drew me to start going to comic book stores, because when you're getting your for the very first few months of my comic book buying experience, I was just going to and again, you could do this at the time. I was just going to the drugstores, the 7-Eleven, any place like that to get my comics, and just whatever they had on the shelf, whatever they had on the spinner rack, that's what I got. If they didn't have anything on the spinner rack that appealed to me, I didn't get anything. But like I said, this idea that, oh, now I have to get all of these books, that is what, if you want to say, is what made me a true fan, and actually made me have to say, oh, you know what? Now I have to actually, they have these stores that specialize in this stuff. Now I actually have to go to these stores to make sure I can get the stuff that I want, because now I can't just depend on the drugstore or the 7-Eleven having that issue of X-Men for me to pick up. So I would say, if it wasn't love at first sight, Extinction Agenda, and the idea that it forced me to have to go out and buy specific books each month, that's what made me love comics. That was the moment that it was cemented.
Mm. Shout out to Moana McAdams. That's my sis right there. She in the building right now. It's my comic sis right there.
Okay, actually got two questions back to back with okay, Paige is asking, if you could put Stealth in a Marvel or DC comic, who would it be with and why? If I could put Stealth in a Marvel or DC comic, at this point, I would have to say it would probably be with Miles Morales, because they're kind of, especially with the short fuse book with the time jump, or even with the webcomic with him being a teenager, there would be it would be a perfect match either way, because all of you guys have read Stealth #1. You know that he's a teacher, and he teaches high school students, so it would be a perfect match either way. But but I would say Miles Morales.
Okay.
And Robert is asking, and it just so happens that Tyrell White is on here as well. He's asking for updates on the stealth video game front. Stealth has actually been is a part of two separate video game projects.
Mm-hmm.
One is with Tyrell White, who is again on the chat. I think that he's put out an official press release and information. So I think that, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that I'm able to say that there's a game called Unity. No, the Union. I'm sorry, the Union. That he is putting together through his company that features stealth, Jiba Anderson's Horseman, and Quinn McGowan's Wildfire,
Mm-hmm.
Northeast Jean's Spirit's Destiny, and the late Robert Garrett, some of his characters. And I think there might be some other characters involved as well. My mind is just blank as I'm going off the top of my head.
That's a lot right there.
Yeah. And he actually just posted the link, whiteguardianstudios.com/the/union. That is the website to get all the information. If anybody is following along on the chat, Tyrell just posted the link. Hopefully everybody can get that. If anybody doesn't know Tyrell, he is a independent game developer. He has a game right now on Steam, at least one game that I know of on Steam right now. It's a great little game. Definitely should check it out. He says Mike Watson's Hot Shot was supposed to be a part of that. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know what the deal is there.
I think Mike Watson just procrastinated and didn't get his stuff to him in time.
Oh, well, Mike Watson. I can say Mike Watson has a lot of. He wears a lot of hats. He has a nice hat on right now. He also wears a lot of different hats. So I would forgive him about that. But yeah, we got the Union. Hopefully Tyrell can get Robert some information, so he could definitely get that on blacksci-fi.com. The original video game project, which I believe is still in the works as well, was by Roddy Lewis, who is another independent comic book creator. And this is a fighting game. It's called Versus. I actually have a demo of the game that I always carry around to conventions. It features stealth alongside Jason Reeves, his Paragon character, and some characters from Roddy Lewis's Tech Watch, and along with some other independent characters. And basically, it's a fighting game featuring independent comic book creators. All of the characters are independent. All of the Roddy is, like I said, he's an independent developer, and there is an early release version of that on Steam right now that you should be able to just look for Versus VS. I think that should take you to it. It's a great little game. If you're a big fan of Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, any game like that, you'll love it. Question for both of us. If Short Fuse did a mini all-title storyline like Age of Apocalypse, how would you turn your characters into villains, and what would be different about them? I actually have an idea floating in the back of my head for an evil version of Stealth that may or may not come to fruition at some point. But I actually have some ideas for how Stealth would. Part of what I did with Stealth, and this actually ties into one of the villains in Stealth. I mentioned there was a villain named Shockwave, and his beginnings, his origin is he's pretty much just exactly like Alan White from the standpoint of he's just a guy, he's just a kid. He's a little bit older at the time, but he has an accident. His powers get untapped. But because of the circumstances of his life, because of a choice here or a choice there, it leads him to do bad, do wrong. And that's the one thing that I always think about these characters is that there could be any time, any decision, any choice, any circumstance could easily change. I think there's a story about Superman where instead of being found in a Kansas cornyard, he's found in the Ukraine or something, and he ends up becoming a Soviet superhero or something like that, or whatever. That's the kind of thing that it's always just one circumstance, one little change here or there that completely can change a character from being a great hero into a great villain. And so, like I said, that's kind of this idea that I have in the back of my head for Stealth as something happens to him, something occurs, and that causes him to change from hero to villain. And like I said, that's if you follow the webcomic, matter of fact, it's the very end of the webcomic. It's one of the very last updates in the webcomic. There is a character who appears to be an alternate version of Stealth. Without giving anything away, that character is actually from a future where Stealth does not always remain the hero that we know him as. So, and that part of the reason why that character is in that scene at that point in time is because he's trying to prevent that from happening. And we'll just have to wait and see at some point. Maybe we will see if he actually does prevent it, because that is something else that I have in the works. But I've talked long enough. Mike, he actually directed that question to you as well, if you want to touch on it.
Oh, yeah. I've thought about it and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure I could come up with ways for the characters to be evil. I know Hotshot's main hero, the person he looks up to, is Justice, which we have talked about in the book before. We're definitely going to explore Justice in Zero Event number 1, 2, and 3. He's a big part of it. So like, what if that guy isn't Mike's hero? Like, what if his hero is the person that killed Justice? Or, what if watching Justice die and all the heroes who disappeared in the Zero Event crushes Mike's spirit and he goes to a life of crime? He gets powers and he says, well, what's the point of helping people? Evil always wins, and he becomes a bad person off of that potentially. But I kind of had this story that is changing a bit to where somebody plays with his DNA and creates a darker, evil version of Hotshot or whatnot from it. But I've designed a costume that was supposed to be a more evil version of him and whatnot, and I may put that on here one day and let people see that or whatnot. But I've definitely thought about it. The Age of Apocalypse is a serious storyline. That's like legit. That's like when I first got into comic books. Like when that happened, like for you, William, when that happened, it's like, oh, you got to get all these books. I was like, what the heck? Like it's that real? That's the situation we're in. Like when that happened, you were like, this is serious. This is all hands on deck. All right, let's go. Which is actually inspiring one of my situations right now that we are building up to, which is the Zero Event Emergence, which is going to involve answering the question of where did and what happened to the heroes who disappeared in the Zero Event. And we're not going to like the answer.
Oh.
It's not going to be good times for our current band of heroes. So yeah, I think that's a great question. I think we've all kind of explored and looked at that type of thing, like what our heroes would look like or whatnot as bad people. Let me see here. William,
it's one of the classic storytelling. I don't know if I'm probably using the word wrong, but it's one of the classic storytelling tropes that it's not something that you ever really get tired of, because you always want to see. Like I remember even back in the 60s and 70s, you always with the Justice League, they had the forget what they called them, but they had the anti the opposite Justice League and things like that. And it's always something that's always fascinating to think about and to examine. And, you know, what would cause your favorite hero to become a terrible villain?
Right. Yeah. So, oh my goodness, that's why I can't wait for the new stuff to drop out, because we're really going to, in issue 10 through 13, we really snipers firing at me. Sean out here going off. He's funny. We really explored the question of hero, what it takes to be a hero, and what inspires you to be a hero. And the new issues of Hot Shot coming out. Like, we deep dive on that, man. Like I can't wait for y'all to see it, because it's legit.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's a real big thing about comics, is that it, you know, a lot of people just think, oh, you just draw this cool character and you just give him this cool powers and things, and oh, he's self a superhero. No, you got, there's actually more to it than that. And like I said, stories like that and ideas like that really play into that idea. He's got a little comment about you. There is a character in the Hot Shot verse that tiptoes around that line.
Well, for me,
yeah,
there's another character in Hot Shot verse who tiptoes around that. Oh, yes, he's talking about Vigilance, which is, I believe, his favorite character in the series. Yeah. So, like, Vigilance, if you read the 1, 2, and 3, Vigilance is the strongest superhero in our world. She's it. She's our Superman. She's the answer. Like, if Vigilance can't fix it, nobody can. Is basically how she's seen. And yeah, there we go. And so when we established that in the first issue, like, introduce you to her and stuff like that, I mean, it's really serious, like, who she is and where she's at. But then we immediately take that from her, and we take you inside of her and, like, who she is as a person and who she's going to be. So, William, this is where I'm at right now. This is the cool thing about being publisher. I'm using this as a pinup image for short videos.
No, it's 100%. That looks to me like a poster. That's a poster.
I'm absolutely sending this to you, because it's your character.
Definitely.
Absolutely using this for a promo. I'm gonna get this colored up. Banner up on our page right now.
That's awesome. That is right. It's he's leaping off the page, and he's literally leaping off the screen.
Let's see how that process. So, William, tell everybody where they can find you at, man.
I'm on my website is williamsatterwhite.info, also stealthcomic.com. That's stealthcomic.com. In case anybody is confused about any other comics called Stealth, there's only one, stealthcomic.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, William Satterwhite, Twitter, William_Satterwhite. Actually, on Instagram, I think I'm just W Satterwhite. But either way, just search for me, William Satterwhite. I don't hide my full name. I am who I am. Like I said, the website, stealthcomic.com. Just again, in case there's any confusion about any other comic books called Stealth, there's only one, stealthcomic.com. That'll have all the web comics and also links to where you can purchase the Short Fuse comic at the Short Fuse Media, the web store. It's like Sean says, it's because I trust that Sean is going to pay his web hosting fees. There's never going to disappear. You can always buy Stealth #1 from there, and also when Stealth the future issues come out, it'll always be available there. And like I said, stealthcomic.com, again, stealthcomic.com. That also has links to anything else Stealth related that you need to find. And like I said, I'm on Facebook, William Satterwhite, Instagram, W Satterwhite, Twitter, W_Satterwhite.
Awesome. And if somebody knows how to get these speed streaks in here faster than what I just did today, I'd appreciate somebody telling me because I have not figured that part out. I'm Mike Watson, the publisher of Short Fuse Media Group, founder of Freestyle Comics, one half of the good, the bad, the nerdy, aka the Super Mad Brother, also known as the most enthusiastic person in comics. I'm your host here for Chat and Draw. I want to thank William for coming onto the show and bringing Stealth over here for me to play with. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. And I would just like to say thanks to Tyrell, Robert, Sean, Paige, Richard, everybody else who dropped in as well.
Yeah, thank you to all our viewers, everyone that made comments and things like that. Thank you for tuning in and giving this post a share. Please subscribe to my YouTube page. Right now, we are cracking over 100. I'm really excited about that. We're like at 112 or something right now. Be sure to give a subscribe. Give me a like, a dislike. Let's talk about it. I love hearing different varying opinions about what I do. I think it's a great conversation. And you can follow me as Art of Mike Watson on all social media platforms, as well as checking out our website, shortfusemediagroup.com, where we have comics, merch, t-shirts, action figures, cameo covers, and all types of goodness for you. Here's a little tip. Buy the physical comic, you get the digital comic for free.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much. Man Maxie says, great chat and draw, gentlemen. What program are you using, Mike, to create William stuff? This is Procreate that I use this in. Thank you very much. Maurice, thank you again. Maurice, you won the digital comic, so I'll be getting with you today to give you your code from yesterday's panel. You won the digital comic, so I got to get with you so you can get those. And you also won something from Andy. Andy sent us Actionology for you as well, and actually everybody else that was watching last night. So I am going to shut it down for a bit. I need to go hang out with the family. I've done 2 back-to-back chat and draws today, and that's our first double hitter. Hope you all enjoyed it. Next week, we got a nice roster of people coming in. Next week, we got some great talent, great creators. Keep it up. Thank you so much to everybody. And William, I will catch you later, man.
Same here.